Welcome to the Zoom LiveTrack L12 Simple Tutorial Part 2. In this chapter, we're going to be exploring plugging in your board, navigating the menu, setting date and time, and creating a new project. By the way, if you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. There's lots of music and tutorials and things. A lot of the music we recorded with this board is on there, and a lot of original stuff from a lot of great musicians. So tune in, okay? Thank you. All right, we're going to be plugging in your board, and that means in the back of the board, I'm going to show you everything that's there, the simple stuff and a little more complicated stuff. To start off, you have the on-off switch. Not too much to be said. Just turn it on, turn it off. Then the board comes with a power supply, which is, you've seen them. The little power supply goes in the wall, and it's got a little connector that goes into where it says DC in. And it's simple. I'm showing you right there how it goes. No problem. Just get it going and we'll be done. Looks good. Okay, now the next section, it's something that's called a mode switch. And the mode switch has three settings: USB host, card reader, and audio interface. Okay, and as you see, we have two inputs, the host and device, and then you have a switch which goes between the three of them. All right, so the first one, the USB host, if you switch it to the USB host, and by the way, I gotta tell you, these switches, you don't turn them on or change them unless the board is off. The board needs to be off in order for the setting to take effect. So you have to turn the board off, then change the setting if you're going to change it. But once you set it, you don't need to go back. It'll be there and you'll be fine. All right, so we start off with host. And if you set the switch to host, this will allow you to use a memory stick, one of these flash cards, which will go right into the host, and it will let you transfer information from the internal card out to the flash card. And I'm going to show you the flash card so you see what they look like. This is something that's useful. You can use it. It's there. It's available. I've never used it myself. Okay, the second switch on the mode is the card reader. And this switch, if you put it to the middle in the card reader, it allows you to actually use your computer to read the internal card in the board. And the connection, I'm going to put it right up the screen now. It's a USB cable that comes with the board, and it's the kind of cable that's used for printers also. So you plug it into where it says device, you turn off the board, you switch it to card reader, and from your computer you'll be able to see the information you've recorded into that internal card, and you can transfer it back and forth. So it's a useful setting also. And then the setting all the way to the right is audio interface, and that's how I use it, because you can connect using the plug that you put into the device that goes into your computer. You can connect it and you can actually record from the board. You can use it as an interface and record anything from the board directly into your computer. If you have a recording software, like if you're using a Mac and you have GarageBand, or if you were using a PC and you've got like the one that I have, which is Cakewalk, or you can use any kind of recording software, will read it. So it's very useful, and it's really one of the big things that this board has, is able to use it as an audio interface. Okay, and we'll go into that in more detail in another chapter. But for right now, you know that you can plug it in as an audio interface, a card reader, a USB host using the mode switch. And remember, you have to have the board off before you change any of these settings and then turn it back on. Okay? Moving on to the next switch that we have. This is a class compliant mode. That sounds real fancy. All that is that if you have it to on, you can connect this board to an iOS computer or Apple, basically. Either an iPhone or your Apple Mac computer or whatever you have. And when it's off, you can use it to connect to your PC. And that's how I have it, because I connect it to a PC. Then the next one we have is sample rate. And that's something that we talk about a little bit. It's got 44.1 kilohertz. It's got 48 kilohertz and 96 kilohertz. This is a sampling rate, and you really, if you're a beginner, like most of the people that will be watching this, you really don't need to know much about this, other than this is the way that this determines the quality of the recording that you're going to be doing. The standard is 44.1 kilohertz. Most, for example, CDs you get is the quality on that is a 44.1 16-bit. And we'll talk about the bits later, because that's another thing that you'll be able to change is the bit depth. But 44.1 is a good starting point. You have the 48 and 96, and that's like really, really high quality, but it also uses up a lot of space. And if you require it, somebody asks you to do a recording at 48 or 96 kilohertz, go ahead, you can do it. Turn off the board, make the switch, and then I'll show you how to make the settings internally later. But that's what this switch is for. I use it at 44.1. We're going to leave it there and go to the next one. Next in line is the memory card slot. You'll see a little lid there. You can open the lid, and this is where the memory card goes. And this is basically your hard drive. This is where you store all your information. You can see I have a SanDisk, 128 gigabyte. You stick it in until it clicks, then you close the lid, and you're set to go. We'll format it later, and you'll be able to use it just like you use a hard drive in your computer. This is when you record and you create your projects. All your projects will be stored in this card. And this card, the beauty of this is you can remove it and actually insert it into the slot of your computers. Most computers have a card reader built in already to it, or you can just buy one separately that you can connect to your computer, and you can transfer the information from the card to your computer, or you can use the board as a card reader, like we spoke about before. So the next thing after that is the foot switch, and I don't use a foot switch. You can use it, I think, to start and stop recordings, do a couple of things, but not too much. I don't use it. This is a beginning tutorial, so we won't get into the foot switch in here. All right, in this section, we're going to get into navigating the menu, setting date and time, setting bit depth, and creating a new project. So let's jump right into it. As you can see, I have on the screen right now, this is the screen on your board, and here's where everything happens. It's like your computer screen, only small. And when you first turn on the system, it comes out with this screen you're looking at. It will show your last project that you were working on, and it will give you some information like which folder you were using, if you're recording to the SD card, the name of your project, the hours, minutes, and seconds of your project, how much space you have left, what kind of file you're using. We'll go through all this stuff later on. But starting off, we want to check out the menu, how we navigate through it, how we move through the menu. It's rather simple. There's a menu button right here. If you press it, it goes to all the sub choices that you have in your menu. It first falls on project. You got folder, record play, metronome. This little button right here says push enter is a rotary knob, which if you move it, it'll give you all the choices that you have on your menu. And if you want to select something, you push to enter. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set your date and time, because the system, when you first boot it up, you're going to need to have what date and time you have, because when you create a new project, it automatically names the project with the date and the time that you have set up. So to set the date and time, in here it doesn't show, but you have to go to system. So to look for system, you turn the knob down. If you go clockwise, it'll go down, and you find system. Now we want to go into that area. You press enter. And see, you get the other choices within system. And the first one is date and time, and that's the one we want to see right now. Date and time. So we press enter, and it displays your date and time as you have it. And right now we have it 2023. The month is January, and the day is the 2nd of January. It's a Monday. And the time is 3:24:56. If you see down here, it says record set. That means that if once you change the settings and you want to set it, you press record, which is down here, and you can set whatever changes you've made. If you change your mind or you want to get out, you hit menu, and menu will always take you back out. If you press menu again, it takes you back out. Press it again, it takes you back to where we started from. So the way you go in and out of the menu is through the menu button, right? If you want to go deep into that, and you can move with your knob till you find whatever you're looking for. Press system, get you out, okay? So let's go back in and for real set the date and time. Press system, date and time. Now if you notice, on the year, it's got brackets around it. If I move this, it'll select the month, it'll select the day, and it keeps moving. When we want to edit one of these, we make sure it's in the brackets. We press enter, now it's highlighted. And if we move it around, we can change the date. So we find the year that you're in this case, 2023. Once we hit enter again, whatever changes you made is set there temporarily, because it will not be set in the system until you exit by pressing record. We'll do that in a minute. So now the month, we want to change the month, the same thing. You press enter, it selects it. You change the month to wherever you want to go. Press enter once you're set. I set it to February in the future. Now we go to the day. Press it, it's ready to be changed. You change it to the 6th. And you go back, you move the brackets, you notice it goes down to the hour, minutes, and seconds. So right now, I don't want to change it. I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to go back and put this to the actual date, which is January. And no, not January 6th. It's going to be January 2nd. Okay, so now we're set. And we said, okay, we made all the changes we want to make. If we want to make sure that it registers, we have to press the record button, which is down here. Okay, press it, and it's set. As you notice, it went out. Now we will go back out to the system, and we're back out to the main screen. So now we're ready to go and change the bit depth, and we'll do that in a second. In this section, we're going to look at changing the bit depth. First off, what is the bit depth? Well, we selected 44.1 kilohertz sample rate in the section before with your little knob in the back of the board. So that gives it the sample rate, but we need to do the bit rate. Normally, like a CD quality would have a 44.1 kilohertz sample rate and a 16-bit audio bit depth. But if you want to get a higher quality and maybe manipulate the file a little bit later on, if you give it to an engineer or somebody else is going to work on it, you're better off recording with a higher depth than 16-bit. So the choices here are 16-bit and 24. I personally use the 24-bit to record on the board. So we'll go with that, and we'll talk about that maybe a little more later, but we'll choose 24-bit. So let's go in the menu, and we know how we do it before. We hit menu, and we go through the menu and try to find where the bit depth is. Well, I can tell you without looking at the manual that it's under record play. So we select record play, hit in, and you see record format. We want that, select that, and it gives you 24-bit, 16-bit. So you choose whatever you're going to be using. In this case, it's 24-bit. You hit the enter, and you're out, and it's already set. So now we've set the bit depth to the 24-bit format. So you're going to be recording WAV files on 44.1 kilohertz sample rate and 24-bit depth. So that's a good format to use. I recommend it. So we leave it at that. Now we're going to keep going and take a look at the next step. Okay, we're going to the next step, which would be creating a new project. Now let's go back out into the top. And if you see here, your main screen, it shows the current project that you have open. In this case, it's a project I recorded in 2021, last year on July 17th in the afternoon. What happens is when you create a new project, automatically the board gives it the name of the date and time at the moment that you create the file. Later on, you can change that. Like if you record a song, you want to call it, Love is the Answer, and you have this date here for the name of the song. If you want to change it, there's a way to go in there. It's a little tricky, and I'll show you later. But right now, we'll accept the date and time for each file and just keep track of it by date and time as to which project you're working on. So let's create a new project. We'll go to the menu, and the first selection on the menu is projects. So we go up by turning counterclockwise this way. It goes up to project, select project, and the choices you have in here, you can create a new project. You can select a particular project if you're looking for a song you want to work on. You can get information on a project, or you can delete a project. Right now, we're going to open up a new project. So we select it by pressing enter. And it says, are you sure? I say, yeah, I'm sure. So we're going to move it over to yes, hit enter, and it's creating a brand new project. It says done. So now you go out. And if we go out, you notice that this project now, the top line, which is the name of the project, is the year, which is 2023, the month, 01, January, 02, the day, and then the time, 03:39:10. That is the name of your project. Now you have a project created, and you can start recording. And you know that you got 12 tracks that you can record. You can overdub, you can do all kinds of things. So you're set to go. So this will be the end of this section, and we'll get into it more in detail later on, okay? Well, this concludes the Zoom LifeTrack L12 simple, and I mean simple tutorial. Thank you all for listening. I hope you got some kind of information out of this. I'm really doing this for a couple of very good friends of mine who just recently purchased a board and they want to get started. We're going to be doing a lot of remote recordings and collaborations, maybe writing some songs, and everybody do their parts at home, send it in, and we'll put some videos together. So remember to subscribe to our channel, and you will see some of the videos that we're going to be coming up with. Listen to some of the music that we're writing, and hopefully you'll enjoy it, and tell your friends. All right, so thank you for listening once again.